My name is Ben McCullough with Truckup. I work out of Indianapolis, Indiana, and all the surrounding areas. We do 24/7 mobile repair, anything from something minor to major. We can do brakes, lights, tires, PMs, fleet mobile service, check engine lights. I was doing tires on the side of the highway the other day. The job that I'm doing right now is a pre-sale inspection. So I'm here. There's a ton of trucks. Someone is looking to buy this one International with a Cummins, and they paid us to do an inspection and find anything. They want to know what's wrong with it before they buy it. So that's what I'm doing. I found Truckup on Indeed and applied. And then I spoke with David multiple times. I've been a diesel mechanic for 10 to 11 years, and then I moved into management. I've been in diesel repair, truck shop management for 5 years. And then I just randomly saw this on Indeed. I didn't know if I was actually looking to start another job. I was just bored one day and kind of looking, and then I saw this opportunity, and it looked good, sounded good. Talked to David. He made it sound even better, and I always enjoyed turning wrenches. I found I was good at managing as well, and took over with that as well. And like I said, I've been doing it for 5 years, and now I'm back into wrenching. It just depends on the day. Some days we may have 10 calls and not more than we can handle, and then some days we may only have two. So, actually, in lieu of that, I have made these flyers. Can you see that? He's already seen them. He approved them. I made these, and I've been taking them to truck stops and handing them out to drivers, hanging them in the driver's lounge. And I actually handed one to a driver the other day, and he was like, I'm broken down right now. I said, have you contacted anybody? He said, no. I said, call that number. I'll fix your truck. Hour later, his truck wouldn't start. And I was like, okay, starter issue, batteries. I had him fixed in a couple hours. His starter went out. He had almost 300,000 miles, so he got his life worth. I changed his starter right there in the Flying J parking lot. My strong suit was after treatment diagnostics. So working on the DEF system, the diesel particulate filters, exhaust system, that was always what I excelled at. But I've worked on all makes, models, Volvos, Internationals, Detroits, Freightliners, Packars, Kenworths. So I've worked on them all. This is just a basic inspection. I'm making sure there's no lights out, flat tires, major damage like scratches on the truck and paint. And I hop in it. I'm making sure all the windows work, all the interior lights work, make sure the AC works. I checked all the belts, checked the fluids. The coolant's actually low. I found a hood shock that's busted. And I'm noting that the truck wouldn't start. I had to jump it. And the rotors are extremely rusted. I talked to the guy. He said, yeah, the truck's been sitting here a long time. So, lucky for me, I don't think the camera turns around on this, but lucky for me, I got a brand new Dodge Ram 3500 with the nice wrap. It actually comes with a toolbox in it, which is really nice. Super nice. But yeah, it's extremely nice. First couple jobs I had, first one was an airbag on the side of the highway, late night, blown drive axle, semi-airbag, had to go out there, replace it. And the next one was a coolant leak. Usually when you think of a coolant leak, you think of something minor, a hose clamp or busted line or something. I went out there. The O-rings on the back of the EGR cooler were leaking, so that was a decent sized job, but I did it in a parking lot, got it done, taken care of, got him out of there. So David calls me, double checks that I'm available, and asks if I'm comfortable doing this or that, and then puts it in the app and lets me know exactly where it's at and when I need to be there. And I have driver information, dispatcher information. I can contact the driver. That's actually the second one I did, which was the coolant leak. All they wanted was the coolant leak fixed, but when I was there replacing the EGR cooler, one of the coolant lines that runs to the DEF system actually broke in that process. They're really brittle, but it's an extremely hard job to replace those because it runs from the top of the motor to the back side top of the motor, down the motor, underneath the passenger cab, over to the driver's side cab. So I ended up having to take off the passenger inner fender for the steer splash guard. Then I actually had to take the exhaust flex pipe out so I could crawl into that little hole behind the steer tire and undo all the clamps and zip ties for that coolant line and replace it. So that was pretty tough and long and late, but I got it done. So actually, the guy that I handed the flyer to was super thankful, appreciative. I got his diagnosed and fixed really quick. I had to go out for a company that was having a liftgate issue, and I fixed it really quick. The driver was super happy, thankful. Little things like that. When I was handing out these flyers, I've had a couple drivers who were like, "Wow, these are really nice. Thank you." Got a couple compliments on the truck when I was driving around the lot. Things like that. Yeah, I've been a diesel field for about 15 years. The difference is that obviously you've got to be able to do it all. In, say, a dealership world, they have a guy that does clutches and transmissions. Then they have a guy that does wiring. Then they have a guy that does after treatments and diagnostics on the laptop. Then they have a guy that only does oil changes. Out here in the field, you got to do all that. They have a tire guy that does that all day long, 24/7. Okay, so out here, we got to be able to do tires, oil changes, diagnostics, the wiring, everything. You got to know what you're doing, obviously, and have the tools to do it, the resources. And the difference is we're out in the weather, so obviously my truck says it's 97 today, so it probably feels like it's 102. And out here in the heat, no shade, doing a quick inspection. Rain, snow, heat, whatever. I've got a poncho. I've been out in the rain multiple times working on a job. So far, I've really enjoyed it. David and Caleb are the Truckup team, and the dispatchers are really great to work with. Everybody's great to work with. They're never, ever hounding me. I know lots of guys that work at shops, and they get hawked on, and someone's always looking over their shoulder, or they don't get the please and thank you that they're looking for. Hey, thanks for working 60 hours last week, or blah, blah, blah. I get that. David gives me that. Hey, thanks for working 14 hours and getting that job done, even though it was late. But, like I said, you got to be willing to deal with the elements out here. Working on the side of the highway sometimes. This truck's got strobe lights and lights on the box as well, on the truck bed. I am looking to find a fleet that I can service. That is the main reason I made the flyers. I would like to maintain Indianapolis, surrounding areas, wherever. I would like to find a fleet, multiple fleets, anything that I can take care of. I'll come out whenever. If you got a breakdown, I'll come do it. You need tires, I'll come do it. Lights, PMs, oil changes, check engine lights. I need some people that I can take care of. That's just for consistency. There's not always breakdowns for me to go on, obviously, road calls. So the fleet maintenance service would give the consistency. And then, hey, I've got 4 PMs that I got to do in the next week or two, but I can go take this road call real quick. The guy needs a regen, so I got to go do a regen for him and then go back to such and such company and do the annual inspections and whatnot.